welcome Chief Commercial Officer of Jumeirah Group, Alex Lee, in conversation with Skift Editor-in-Chief, Sarah Kopit.
We're very far away from each other.
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Alex, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure.
So let's jump right in. I want to talk about the future. I want to talk about Jumeirah Group and where you see going in the region over the next maybe 7 to 10 years, the next decade.
Wonderful. Well, I think almost everybody in this room knows who Jumeirah is. That's a great start for me sitting here in Dubai, and it's great to be here this morning. Next year, we're celebrating 25 years of the iconic Burj Al Arab. And 25 years ago, we really defined what ultra-luxury was for hospitality. And so this is a real pivotal moment for us as a brand to sort of step back and reflect on all the things that we've achieved already in the 25 years. I've been with the organization just over 13, so about half of that journey I've been proud to be part of. And we see it really as an opportunity now to take the strength of being basically a regional powerhouse of a luxury brand to move us into an expansion in the future. We see a huge amount of positivity about the region itself and how that can really take us as a foundation. And we've been working this year with our new CEO, Katerina, on something we call Mission 2030.
Tell me about Mission 2030.
So Mission 2030 is really about us looking at where do we go from here?
Yeah.
It's really about saying, we have 26 hotels around the world already today, and as we navigated through the pandemic, we already started to expand and grow more internationally. So, what some of the people in the room today might not be aware of is that just in these last sort of 18 months to 2 years, we've already been adding hotels in new global destinations that we didn't have before. So openings and acquisitions in Capri in Italy, or in the Maldives, or closer to home here in the region in Bahrain and in Muscat, but also in locations like Bali. So we've made a start on this strategy, but there's a lot more to come, and we're very much focused on a complete 360 business transformation. Starting with operational excellence, looking at our brand, looking at how we use our people and teams. But also exploring potential for ancillary revenues and ancillary other businesses as well. So Mission 2030 is really the beginning of where we want to go between now and 2030. And the key headline of that is that ultimately we'd like to be in a position where we can double in size over that period.
So tell me about your plans for the Americas. When are you coming back to New York? That's what I really want to know.
Great question. So in terms of that international expansion, Americas will form part of that. I can say that that's absolutely on the horizon. So, but our primary focus in the medium term is focusing more on European destinations.
Yeah.
We've already seen that with things like the reinvestment and transformation in the Carlton Tower in London, with the acquisition in Capri. We already had a fabulous hotel in Spain, in Mallorca. So in the short term, we're definitely focusing on that European area. And then as a sort of second step from that, we're looking at, okay, where do we go in terms of North and South American markets and also Asian markets, in really focused around key gateway cities.
So let's talk a little bit about luxury itself. Here we are in Dubai, we're in this beautiful hotel. First, I want to ask about whether you think luxury, A, is an evolving concept, or if it's something that is rather timeless, and if it is an evolving concept, how are you staying ahead of the curve at Jumeirah?
There are always going to be elements of luxury that are timeless.
Yeah.
And I see luxury and hospitality as being, quite intrinsically linked. And so the attributes of hospitality, we're a brand that's born in Dubai, focused very much around Arabian hospitality, and so there's attributes of hospitality and luxury work really well together. So there are elements that will absolutely be timeless. But the consumers of luxury are changing. And I'm sure there's many people in the room as well that are seeing this trend, but the evolution of who is consuming luxury, where the spend base and the power base of that luxury customer is going to be in the future is going to change. So, I mean, there's data out there that says, you know, the luxury consumer is going to grow by more than 25% over the next 5 to 7 years. But what we're going to see is that pass down of wealth and also the creation of new wealth through innovations in technology mean that it could be that we're sitting in a situation in 2030 where 80% of the luxury consumer is in that Gen Z and below category. So where the Gen Z and below consumer is soaring as that consumer of luxury, that means how do we deliver luxury will inevitably have to evolve as well. The Gen Z customer is not seeing travel or luxury as being a special occasion type of interaction. You know, they're not buying in that same way. You know, they're seeing travel and hospitality and luxury experiences as being a necessity that they will always plan for, no matter where they are economically.
Yeah, I've got a 12-year-old and a 9-year-old at home. I can even see it myself in my own experience, how they think of things differently. Are you seeing like the little ones coming in? How is Jumeirah adapting to what they're doing or what they want?
Well, I also have a 14-year-old and a 12-year-old.
There you go.
Two ladies in my household, so I have my finger on the pulse of not only how they're consuming information, researching, etc., but also where they see the value, and ultimately for us as an industry, the foundation for us to be successful in all of this is going to come down to data and personalization. You know, luxury in a physical capacity and luxury in an omni-channel environment and a digital environment are two very different things. And you know, we're looking at research today where, you know, the stats that say that, you know, up to 70% of luxury consumers are not happy with their omni-channel experience today. And we as a brand and at a larger scale, the industry need to work on that. And for us, we see that the foundational data and insight is a key piece of how do we deliver that personalization and make sure we're focusing on the right things.
Yeah, they do so much research.
Yeah, and recommendation and referral is more important than ever.
Yeah.
So that's where, by knowing more about our customer and being truly customer-centric, by having the right information, we can deliver those wow, impressive experiences in the first instance, but we can also then get the benefit of how does that translate into referral, recommendation, and that's not, we talk about in the old days word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not actually word of mouth. It's not spoken word of mouth. It's through digital sharing and platform experience rather than meeting in a coffee shop and retelling the story of your last vacation or your last hotel stay.
Yeah, like when we come home from vacation, it's always like, I give it 5 stars. I'm like, good, yeah, that's how they think. So related, where do you see innovation in hospitality coming in the future? You know, where is that next leap that the hospitality industry has to take?
There's multiple avenues, I think, that different hospitality organizations and different brands can focus on. For us, one of our prioritized focus areas is in the area of well-being and moving our thought process and moving our execution away from well-being being a trip to the spa, but well-being being something that is completely integrated through the entire guest journey. And for us, we're focusing on a couple of different areas around lifelong learning and education, and how do we facilitate a part in that? Where can we support longevity? And that's a big topic in itself. It's certainly not necessarily in the area of expertise of a hospitality company today, and also inclusivity. We've, as part of our Mission 2030, as part of our strategy, we've been focusing on a number of key leadership appointments, and well-being is one of them. And so recently, this year, we just appointed a new global head of our well-being business, who brings some of that thought leadership and best practice and is helping us to work on a strategy which we call Wellness 3.0. Now, as part of Wellness 3.0, we're looking at a couple of different attributes to that. One of them is the role of technology and well-being, and again, through the entire guest journey, not just in the physical space of a treatment facility or a spa. The other is around programming and looking at what we're doing around programming. We've already started that with multi-duration wellness experiences at Madinat Jumeirah here in Dubai, where our guests can come and spend time with us on a 3, 5, 7 night, even plus stay focused around their well-being. So there's some areas there. And then the other piece is around the role of nutrition. And we have a huge amount of bench strength in this space that as an industry, I don't believe that we've leveraged, and certainly at Jumeirah level. We have some of the best culinary experts in the world, and particularly here in Dubai, but also in many of the destinations, we have a phenomenal supply chain when it comes to being able to access the best products in the world as well. So nutrition is another area to focus on. And lastly, because I think it's important to all of us, probably you and I especially, is around skincare. Ultimately how we're looking after ourselves and the elements around skincare. So in terms of innovation streams, that's one of the areas that we're really deep diving into right now, and we're building a pathway forward.
So Jumeirah is very prominent in this region, and you talked a little bit about how you're, looking to expand and going to other places. I'm curious how you think about being culturally, adapting to the culture of the places you go, while still kind of retaining the brand that you've worked so hard to cultivate on its own. So how do you thread that needle when you're going to different places?
We're doing a huge amount of work around the brand right now, and one of the things that I'm most excited about is around the development of that brand proposition going forward, and we're intending next year to be coming out to the market with a lot of new information around the brand and the brand positioning. And some of that starts with looking back at our heritage and really reflecting on the heritage of being born in Dubai, and the hospitality that you get here in this region, and how do we use that as a foundational pillar to take us around the world. Because it's ultimately about expectations, right? I spent a lot of my summer this year in the US, and I experienced quite a number of different hotel brands within the US market, and my expectation coming from this region around what I would expect for wonderful hospitality wasn't necessarily met in all of those occasions.
I was going to say, how was it?
And so the expectation of the consumer in that market is a little bit different. So we're already starting from a phenomenally higher base here in the region around what is excellent hospitality. And so it's around making sure that we can live up to that promise in all of the locations that we have a Jumeirah in, no matter what the market conditions are, and doing a great job of doing that. But we also believe there's a key element around hiring local and having local talent. And so we see the people element, the human element of hospitality, and hiring local teams and growing local talent as being that key bridge between the Arabian hospitality story and the local execution, whether it's in Geneva in Switzerland or whether it's in Bali in Indonesia, etc.
So COP28 just wrapped up here in Dubai. I'm curious to get your thoughts on whether luxury, hospitality to the level that we see here in the Middle East can actually truly coexist with sustainability.
That is a really good question.
And I would love to not kind of to get your real thoughts on it. I know we've all heard kind of the PR line, so to speak. Can it really happen?
I think it can, but I think it's in a very rapidly evolving space. I mean, fundamentally it has to. The data is telling us that 65% of consumers are using sustainable decision-making as part of their travel planning and as part of their purchase behavior. And when you drill in particularly to that Gen Z audience, that number goes up to above 70% and continues to grow. Every time there's surveys on this, consumers are telling us that they see it as an important buying decision. So there's a we have to element to what this data says. But there's two kind of key, I think, opportunity areas that I'm very mindful of in this area. One is around, we know that sustainability can absolutely enhance the guest experience. And next year we celebrate 20 years of something we've been doing at Jumeirah, and we're at a point of about to celebrate 20 years, and we're sort of recognizing we haven't been doing a good enough job of telling people about it. So next year we celebrate 20 years of the Dubai Turtle Rehabilitation Project. So for almost 20 years now, Jumeirah, with a number of other local partners, have been rescuing, rehabilitating, and releasing endangered turtles into the Arabian Gulf. And over these 19 years so far, we've been able to do that to over 2,000 turtles. Having a rescue center within Burj Al Arab, we don't just have the ultra wealthy checking into Burj Al Arab. We have turtles checking in as well, and the basis of that is that we've been able to build a whole load of education programs around that, guest experience touch points around that, and so that's just a small example of something that's been happening for a very long time. That is where a sustainable environmental practice is really there, and it's enhancing the guest experience.
Next year when you're here, I want a video of the turtles. Right? I want to be able to see them.
You can come over and have a look at them.
Okay.
And I think the other element is that in many, many cases now, we're seeing that there are financial benefits starting to come through.
Yeah.
And so, as a brand, we are an owner-operator. So we own and operate a number of our assets. So we are already looking very carefully at a number of the sort of the economical business cases around these sort of investments. And so although there is often a capital investment element at play, the returns are starting to show very positive signs in many cases. So there's the guest experience element, but there's also the piece around the financial element as well.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I'm curious if you think the luxury customer has changed or gotten more demanding in the recent past, maybe like the White Lotus effect, as I call it. Do you see any differences in what people want and what they're demanding from a brand like Jumeirah?
I think partly it goes back to what I said earlier around where's your starting off point and expectation.
Yeah.
And so a lot of consumers who are originating out of this region, they already have a very high expectation. And so the starting point is high. But aside from that, there's an element really here, not necessarily about what the expectation is, but how do they request it? And this digital element comes back to the forefront again. During COVID, Jumeirah implemented a technical platform of eButler, where we had the opportunity to introduce digital engagement with our guests, like a lot of other brands have. And we've seen the engagement with those platforms just continue to strengthen and strengthen and strengthen. And the diversity of the types of requests that are coming through those platforms become broader and broader and broader and broader. So I don't think the expectations necessarily, certainly in this region, are necessarily changing, but how they're asking for them, when they're asking for them, definitely is evolving.
Yeah, talk to me a little bit about technology and how, we've talked a little bit about personalization. How is technology really aiding the guest experience?
That's an element that I believe we have to do more work in. And so obviously everybody in this room's heard of chat something and AI something, and it's a big topic for us. We're working at the moment on some deep research in this space and working to identify where are we going to prioritize. And I see it really being through a number of phases. If we go back to pre-pandemic and during pandemic, the most immediate focus was very much around operational efficiency, being able to find ways to manage the guest demands that we had there and at the time. But it wasn't really innovative, and it wasn't necessarily as as much around truly differentiating and enhancing guest experience. And so we're working on that at this time, and it goes back to, again, the quality of the data and focusing on that data and insight layer first to then be able to build on top of those opportunities. It's certainly not about cost savings and efficiency. It's about sustainable innovation that truly is customer-centric and enhance the guest experience.
Are you using AI right now?
We're doing some testing.
Yeah.
We're doing some testing to mixed results. We certainly don't have anything right now that we want to take out to be in the consumer space. You know, we are a luxury, high-touch brand.
Yeah.
We pride ourselves on our people, and our people are our greatest value ultimately, and will continue to be for some time with the support of technology.
Yeah. Do you think we're moving to a place where, you know, the human touch is the real luxury?
I think we're already there in some cases.
We're already there.
We're already there in some cases. There's a very interesting equilibrium between privacy and interaction. And that's changing all the time in the guest journey. And it's about being there when you're needed and not when you're not, ultimately.
Alex, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
Thank you.